While he may understand it now, do not misunderstand. This is only a new beginning. What's up, guys? I'm Kaiser, and here to do a breakdown/discussion on why Isagi Yoichi's awakening, his evolution, his divinity, his realization of his true nature, possibly even his true ego in the Egotist League, ultimately is not the end of Isagi Yoichi. It is not the end of his development. It's not the end of his growth, but solely and deeply, truly, but a very beautiful new beginning for the future king of creation, the world's next #1 striker, soon to be known as the strongest. So let's not waste any more time and let's hop right into it. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do mean to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Isagi Yoichi has awakened. In a very particular way, I'd say. He's awakened to something that I wouldn't fully agree is his true ego, solely for my lack of understanding what his true ego even is. Like, I'm not even going to sit here and lie to you and say that I know exactly what his true ego is, because I don't know. I have not read the light novels. I will. One day, I may be lying. I may not ever read them. But still, ultimately, Isagi Yoichi recently, in the last couple chapters, has sort of cracked. And by cracked, I mean like cracked mentally and cracked physically and cracked every way, that the whole fandom is losing their minds over the new white-haired transcendental Isagi. But, naturally, as with any previous point in Isagi's development that has seemed to be a massive leap, like this one is, he literally went Ultra Instinct, there's been some concerns, some rumblings, some danger, especially with the most recent decision he made to extend the olive branch, extend the hand to Kaiser. Of course, everybody and their mama, and by everybody and their mama, I mean me, my mama, and everybody else who wanted it, is super duper happy that our parlay is finally made. Isagi Yoichi and Michael Kaiser had decided to finally team up for possibly the first time and the last time, and everybody's going crazy. But even the deepest Isagi fans have a fear in their heart. You mean to tell me that even after his awakening, even after his evolution, even after everything he's been through, throughout the entire new Egotist League, ultimately, Isagi Yoichi's most logical and reasonable decision against Itoshi Ren was to lose? And rely on somebody else that he knows for a fact he won't be able to rely on in the future? So, Ren is still stronger. Ren is still greater. He's a genius, a monster beyond Isagi's understanding alone, and thusly he needs the understanding of another talented learner, a monster in his own right, Michael Kaiser, to stop him, keep up with, and ultimately beat him. Isn't that concerning? Because ultimately, naturally, there's only one #1 striker. You can't have two. And so far, Ren seems like the complete package. As long as this current state of Ren, the one that is so deeply immersed in his true self-destructive nature, can spontaneously exist again and again and again and again and again. It's no longer something that requires an external stimulus such as Isagi. Rather, as long as Ren wills it, he shall dive into the darkness that makes him the great destroyer. Doesn't that mean he'll just always be better than Isagi Yoichi? And if that's the case, if he's always going to be better, then is there any hope for Isagi? Because this is it, right? This is it. His peak. But if that's the case, then there's no hope left. What are we going to do? Watch Isagi Yoichi struggle and fall in the same way Itoshi Sei fall? No, I can't. Not my glorious kid. Yeah, I don't believe any of that. And you may be wondering why, Pencilman, what is going on here? Well, it's a combination of factors. #1, I ultimately think that the Egotist League, while a beautiful, legendary, and gorgeous arc, and in my personal opinion, I know this is going to sound crazy, and I haven't necessarily said it in any of my reviews yet, but I'm going to say it here, low-key, it kind of did surpass the U20 game for me, at least up to this point, and it's not even over yet. I know once this final goal hits, once my parlay really, really hits, and Isagi scores that final goal, I'm going to be backflipping and insert motions of excitement all over this. But essentially, I will be doing that. But thanks to that, I also do have a simple understanding of something that I didn't really have an understanding on for a while. And a friend of mine really laid this out for me in the clearest and most concise way. The Egotist League, for all intents and purposes, is a filler arc. Now you may be wondering, whoa. Pencilman, what is good green are they talking about? And admittedly, my friend did not put it that way. It was like, well, it's a training arc. But in my opinion, training, low-key, kind of a filler arc. And now I want y'all to hear me out when I say this. The Neo Egotist League is a stepping stone. It is an experiment. It is a extension of the first parts of Blue Lock. And of course, I'm not saying the first parts of Blue Lock were also filler, but like specifically, the Neo Egotist League itself is described as the filler point between the U20 match that allowed the Blue Lock 11 to become the new U20 for Japan and the U20 World Cup. It is literally the filler midpoint between these two. And ultimately, everybody and their mama knows that Noel Noah is not going to be in the U20 Cup. That's like literally impossible because the man's older than 20. And we also know that at least unless Kaneshiro Sensei and Nomura Sensei decide to shatter all our ankles and be like, okay, we're going to end Blue Lock at the U20 Cup because ha ha ha, and then we're just going to do a quick end of series time skip to the World Cup for real, and then Noah's going to beat Isagi, or Isagi's going to beat Noah, bada bing, bada boom, we're done. The Neo Egotist League, in retrospect, despite being darn near half the manga at this point, if not, is it half? Is it half? It may be more than half. What, we're on two? Ooh, darn, I think it is like nearly half the manga at this point. Ultimately, it still is just like a progression bit. And it's a point to allow a lot of our characters to reset. Notably, a thing that I had pointed out, but I think I misinterpreted previously, was that a lot of our characters, in spite of this being an arc for their development, kind of went backwards, if you think about it. Think of almost every single major character we've seen throughout the Neo Egotist League. Bachira, what did he do? He readopted and reinvented his monster. Shigiri, what did he do? Went back to the speed demon, the one-on-one monster, a creature who is solely reliant on his speed. What did Nagi do? Went back to Reo. What did Reo do? Go back to Nagi. But also doubled down on that initial dynamic, and ultimately, while it did lead to their downfall in the long run, still ended up doing their thing. Boro ended up doubling down or tripling down or quadrupling down or quintupling down on the idea of him being the king, the dominant, the almighty, all alone. And of course, you have characters even of lesser importance like Nico, who went back to just being the watchtower, guiding and supporting his stronger striker. Aiku, instead of going down a striker path of his own, stayed on the defensive line, evolving and developing in his own way while unlocking meta vision. And of course, the story only continues into PM. When you think about all of our major characters from there. Except, ironically enough, Kunigami, that boy struggled. He got reduced to a defender. But other than him, Yukimaya even sort of regressed, kind of, right? Like, ultimately, instead of developing further, while we haven't seen him in a little bit, he ended up returning to his role and doubling down on the idea of the 1v1 Emperor, and ultimately being a striker who scores goals. And naturally, we have the big two. The ones the whole Neo Egotist League has been revolving around. Isagi and Kaiser. And if you'll notice, both of these characters sort of had to give up what they were becoming in order to achieve what they are now. So, Isagi had to return to 0 in order to become 1. He sacrificed everything, including his own emotions and feelings, in this instant to become the perfect tool, the perfect machine to win, to defeat PXG. And of course, Kaiser's whole arc, backstory Munchin, as many people call it, his whole thing was returning to 0 and destroying everything that he was, getting rid of all preconceived notions, and returning to a basis. And what do we know about bases? What do we know about beginnings? What do we know about origins? They're the start. They're the origin point. They're a place to grow from, not a place to end on. And now, while I am definitely still thinking on my overall opinion about that being the whole point of the Neo Egotist League, kind of reducing all of our characters back to a stronger starting point, overall, now that I can kind of understand that that was the point of the Neo Egotist League, to reduce our characters back to a pure starting point, that's all I see it as. So even though right now Rin is definitively, I'm not even going to sit here and lie to you, Rin is right now still the number 1 in Blue Lock. And dare I say, no, definitively solo on his own as a complete player, Rin is Rin. He's it. Yeah, he's it. We haven't gotten many defensive feats from him, like not many, but like other than that, as a pure, absolute striker and offensive player, yes, Rin is him. Isagi himself has admitted it. But that, in my opinion, doesn't mean it's the end of Isagi. If anything, both of these characters being reduced back to 0, and Isagi Yoichi understanding the ways to overcome Rin, and even manipulating Rin, having Rin in the palm of his hand, and having Kaiser also in the palm of his hand, having these two gods dance about his hand, the Hero King's hand, that only gives me hope. That only gives me joy. That only gives me belief that Isagi still has way more to grow. Even though it seems like he's hit his peak. He's hit his peak in the same way that Luffy hit his peak when he hit Gear 5. Yeah, sure. He got the white-haired form. He became a god. He leveled up to an old new extreme, but it's still just the beginning, right? Ultimately, Luffy has a long way to go in understanding his powers and abilities and evolving them. Just like Isagi Yoichi has a long way to go in understanding this new basis, this new origin point, and evolving from there. And that is why I still have hope. That's why I am honestly perfectly okay with Ren being where he is. Do I admit from the bottom of my heart and soul it's getting a little stale of Ren being the number one? Absolutely. But at the same time, I understand the narrative purpose in the long run. Right? Because ultimately, the thing about Blue Lock is despite me believing we are still hundreds of chapters off, or like at bare minimum, especially at the pacing of the Neo Egotist League and the natural pacing that's going to need to exist for the U20 World Cup, and then by proxy, whatever possible club arc that goes on after that, and then finally the real World Cup, we are at bare minimum like 200, possibly 300 plus chapters before the end of this manga. If Kaneshiro Sensei and Moto Sensei keep going, which they easily can, they are still a long way off. And because of that, I get the narrative reasoning by keeping Rin number one and not letting Isagi cliff him just yet. And I do believe there is more than enough time for Isagi Yoichi to still evolve, to still grow, both physically, mentally, and even psychologically. Ultimately, all of this is sort of like this big, beautiful melting pot. Ultimately, the story of the Neo Egotist League has been a story of reduction for evolution. Someone put it perfectly in one of the recent reviews comments. They said something along the lines of the Neo Egotist League goes forth to break all these characters down and have them evolve in the exact same ways they were evolving before. Ultimately, reducing their ones to zeros to bring them back up to one. And while that seems absurd and insane, remember it is the individuality of all these characters that is the basis of their growth, the basis of their evolution, the basis of everything that they stand for. And thus, it makes perfect sense that the only way for these characters to grow is to put them in a place where growth is necessary. That's what the latest chapter 200 and... God, I want to say 71, but I feel like that's wrong. But the latest chapter at the time of recording is all about. That's what Noah finally noticed at the end of it all, and Ego even iterated on. The Neo Egotist League was but an experiment to bring these characters to a level that they had yet to be, by taking them and throwing them into a world of extreme egos at the pinnacle of creation. And now, with Noah, a final antagonist set up well and cleanly with a dynamic with our main character, with Baro set up with a final dynamic with the best player in the world, with Bachira set up with a possible dynamic with Lava. With so many characters set up, I think Isagi Yoichi is safe. I think Isagi Yoichi has a long way to go, and that is what excites me the most. The idea that ultimately Isagi has grown so much, yet gone somehow nowhere, and at the same time still has so much more to go, instead of striking fear in my heart, it brings fire to my core. But of course, that's what I think. Please see what you guys think in the comment section down below. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please do me a favor and leave new king. Leave new king in the comment section down below. I'd like to thank you so much for watching. Please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon below where you can support me for as one month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. So those perks include the live reactions to every other series I happen to review, ad variations of all my videos, and becoming $25 Patreon or a $25 member. You can order whatever video you want. Also, I do a link to my Ko-Fi in the description down below, where you can drop 5 beans for a short video, 25 beans for a long video, or any beans at all. Any support is always greatly appreciated. Now, I'd like to thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is That on the Pencil, signing off.
I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: Zara, Greyhound, Eternal Flame, Redwolf 4765, Astro, Brandon Payne, Glacier XZ, and G Prosper. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 members: A plus A, Ignil Lind, Kevin Encarnacion, Midnight Lord 21, and Sean. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 members: Fine, Austin Wimberly, Uchiha, and Yuki Ally. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $10 members: AZ Void, J Warrior, and Robbie Uchiha. And I'd like to give a big ol' thank you to our $10 patrons, Overlord Zero, Waki Munoz, and Idem Okami. And I'd like to give a final gracious gargantuan thank you to our $100 That Guy with a Pencil tier patron, Calvin Elder.